Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A. So let's go ahead and get this started. All right, first question. Do you still believe in the 5 strength standards and how to build side delts? Well, you can build side delts with laterals, upright rows, snatch grip, high pulls. I think that's probably the better one. All that aside, let's get over to the big 5 strength standard. Do I think that the big 5 strength standard would still, if you were there, you would still be at what I said would happen? Meaning, if you can reach all 5 of the big 5 strength standard, you are probably going to look pretty big and pretty jacked walking down the street to most people, right? Even drug free, you're going to look like a stacked dude. Okay, but you have to hit all 5. Now, the reason I have those, I could carry those over to all sorts of other lift, is because size equals strength potential. And what I'm saying here is that if you just practice doing 1 rep maxes to try to get to those lifts, it's not necessarily going to give you that goal. But if you have reached the strength capability to do all 5, and again, keep in mind there's a weighted chin up or pull up in there, so that will eliminate the fat benefit. If people say, well, you could just get really fat and hit those other numbers, it would help. It would, except that you're going to suck at weighted pull ups. So you can't do all 5 if you get really fat. And if you do get really fat and do all 5, you are a beast, because it means you're strong at weighted pull-ups while fat. Okay? And if you're strong at weighted pull-ups while fat, that's beastly strength. Okay? Because you're pulling up a lot more weight than someone who's skinny. So, yeah, they still apply, but the point here would really be just get as strong as possible. Rather than even stick with that old standard that I made years ago, I would say, why don't we focus on getting as strong as possible in general strength? Rather than just picking 5 lifts and those numbers, let's do maxes, let's do hypertrophy training, get strong at every angle. Get strong at flat bench, get strong at incline, get strong at different pulling angles, different types of deadlifts, different squats, good mornings. Okay, get strong at all these angles and hypertrophy all the weak links. Just like I train, just like I recommend training. And realistically, a perfect example, let's talk about some of those strength standards. My client Mikey, you guys have watched 2 of his full workouts now. For a natural guy, he's pretty stacked. Okay. You guys think he can hit those strength standards? He has 4 out of the 5. He has 4 out of the 5. Now people say, well, which one is he falling short on? The deadlift. And I know that's crazy because he looks like he could deadlift a truck. He is actually still a sub 500 deadlifter. Not for long. We're going to crest it pretty soon, actually. He can hit the others, though. Look how he looks. Right? Pretty jacked and stacked. So, sure, it still applies. They still apply. But I would say, rather than those, again, let's just get really strong. And again, remembering that to get really strong, you're going to have to always be doing hypertrophy work for whatever the weakest link is on every lift. So if you have 8 different lifts you're trying to get strong at, you're going to have to, whatever the weakest link on all of those is, you're going to have to do a bunch of training volume and hypertrophy work for it. It's going to be required. So let's just get strong, right? Let's just get strong across the board at everything. All right, next question. Hey Jason, can both reverse hyper and hyperextension be done for really high reps on off days to aid lower back cramps and recovery for those who have APT, which is anterior pelvic tilt? Thanks. I would not do regular hypers for that. I would say very high rep reverse hypers and maybe banded good mornings. Do good mornings with a mini band, standing on it and over your shoulders. That would probably be a better option there, right? That would be a better option. But, here's the other thing with that. You only do that as necessary. And I know I've talked in the past about restoration work and all that stuff, the way they do it at Westside. Here's been my experience with it. A lot of the guys who trained at Westside didn't do all that. Maybe Louis wanted them to, but they didn't, and they became champions just fine. I personally found that when I go too hard on restoration work, it actually seems to slow my gains in some cases, right? Not saying some of it doesn't help. It certainly helps for a while if you need the prehab in those areas, if you need it. But I found at a certain point for me eventually, when I cut back to just going really hard on reverse hypers on my 2 lower days and not all 7 days, I get monstrously strong at reverse hypers, and so on and so forth. I haven't found my tricep strength to be the best when I do tons of the band press downs on every day, compared to just focusing on really hammering my triceps on my 2 upper days and leaving them alone. You know, I've got to be honest. I think outside of immediate prehab needs, and in your case, if you're having low back cramps, you have a work capacity and recovery issue, I think that is the appropriate time to do restoration work. So in the context of your question, I think that's a good time. But again, let's come over to, I don't know that regular hyperextensions would be my choice. I would do band work. And I have clients do that, by the way. So I think it's warranted in your situation. But I think the thing to keep in mind with a lot of it, and my own experience and watching my lifters doing restoration stuff all the time instead of only when you have a specific need for it for certain muscle groups, it doesn't seem to work as well. Just my personal observation. Now, if you've got specific muscles that really need it, it seems to help a lot. And I wouldn't take back all that band work I did. It's given me really healthy elbows. I went through long phases of it. I don't really need it anymore. My elbows tendons are a lot healthier though. My elbows feel great. I don't get tendon pain from heavy tricep work. So it paid off there. Same thing with the low back stuff. I mean, sure, it built work capacity and recovery to do all the reverse hypers every day. But I finally eventually got to a point where my low back was so healthy and strong that it doesn't care. And now the reverse hypers by itself, done for really hard work, seems to have given me the ability to do whatever I need to do with my low back. Okay, so we have to look at it in that context. All right, next question and last question of the week. Do you think it's a good idea to train the obliques separately? Interesting question. You know, a lot of strength coaches would say yes, and they'll have you do direct oblique work. I personally would say only if you think you need it. I find that me focusing on just my abdominals, right, for all my ab work, and an extreme focus on my lower back has given me all the core strength that I need to squat and deadlift over 600, right? I mean, I take ab work fairly seriously. I wouldn't say that I do tons of it. 5, 6 really good hard sets for abs a week is what I do. Okay, 6 hard sets. I don't target my obliques separately. They get worked with all the ab work. They get worked on all the other various core work I do. The good mornings or reverse hypers, everything else. If I ever started feeling like they were a weak link though for me, I would absolutely train them separately in a heartbeat without even hesitating if I felt that they were. So here's the thing I would say. If you feel like that those muscles are becoming a weak link in your stability on your big lifts or for your sport, because I don't know what you do. I coach more fighters than I do powerlifters. Then by all means, do some oblique work. Do a few really hard sets. You don't need to come in and do 20 sets for them. A few really hard sets every week. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea if you feel like they are becoming a weak link for you. Sure. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.